All right, what is your serial number?
Just there's gunshots.
I'm going to stop it at that point. Have you listened to the tape throughout the end of it at any point?
I have.
Any relevance of the rest of the tape as far as your ability to hear George's voice?
No, sir.
Okay. Then let me focus you on what we have heard and tell the jury, first of all, if you have an opinion as to whose voice that is in the background, and by that I mean not who we now know to be Miss Lauer talking to the 911 operator, but the screaming or the noise in the background. Do you have an opinion whose voice that is?
I thought it was George.
Yes.
All right, what is your serial number?
Just there's gunshots.
Have you heard that tape before?
Yes, I have.
If you would tell the jury how many times or when and circumstances.
I've heard it less than half a dozen times, and mostly on the TV news. The first time I heard it was on the news.
Okay. And were you able, well, first of all, do you have an opinion as to whose voice that is?
Yes.
And whose voice is that? And let me premise it this. We know that we hear someone in the foreground, a person by the name of Miss Lauer, who's talking to the 911 operator.
Mm-hmm.
Could you hear the noise or the yelling in the background?
Yes, I could.
Can you identify whose voice that was yelling in the background?
George's.
Okay. And how do you know that?
I recognize his voice. I've heard him speak many times. I have no doubt in my mind that's his voice.
All right, what is your serial number?
Just there's gunshots.
You just
Have you listened to that before today?
Yes, I have.
Any reason for me to play any more of it or to
No.
go back over it?
No.
Do you have an opinion as to whose voice that is in the background?
Yes, I do.
And whose voice is it?
George Zimmerman's voice.
Yes.
all right, what is your serial number?
Just
Is that the tape or very similar to the tape that you've listened to last week?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an opinion as to whose voice that is screaming in the background?
Yes, sir.
Based upon your knowledge of your conversation with George Zimmerman and the life experience that you've now brought to the jury, whose voice do you believe that to be screaming for help?
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that is George Zimmerman.